Thanks for staying with us on the program. Now, Nigeria, like many other developing countries, is grappling with a mental health crisis. Mental health conditions like depression, anxiety disorders, and substance abuse are becoming increasingly prevalent, and it leads to a substantial burden on individuals and families, on society as a whole. However, due to societal stigma, inadequate access to medical health care, and limited awareness, many individuals continue to suffer in silence, and it further exacerbates these conditions. Now, the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Yaba, has recorded a 100% increase in the number of psychiatric patients admitted in the hospital in 2023. The hospital's chief medical director, Dr. Olugbenga Owoeye, made this known at the annual scorecard presentation, which was tagged A Day with the Medical Director, organized in Lagos. Now, Dr. Owoeye said the total number of new cases increased by 7%, while there was a 3% increase in the number of follow-up patients, both male and female. According to him as well, the increase in admission cases can be attributed to the rising cases of mental health conditions in the country, and it's due to the current economic challenges accompanied by many other socio-economic factors. Well, that said, joining us on the show to take a critical look at this development is none other than the Chief Medical Director himself of the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Yaba, Dr. Olugbenga Owoeye. Thank you so much, Dr. Owoeye, for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me on your program today.
It's a pleasure, and compliments of the season to you as well.
Yeah, we really appreciate you.
All right, Dr. Owoeye, let's go straight to the conversation. It's a very worrying development, if you ask me, and I think it's best to start off with the possible causes. So I'm going to start by asking, what major causes are there that lead to the increase in psychiatric patients admitted to the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital in 2023?
Thank you very much. The report you have is just an internal assessment of our performance during the year 2023, in which the admission cases increased. And this is as a result of our own internal review of protocols. For instance, before, you need to admit a patient right from our emergency to a long-stay ward. But now, we now have a short-stay ward and a long-stay ward. A short-stay ward, you can only stay there for a minimum of 2 weeks or maximum of 2 weeks, after which you can be discharged home. And as a result of this, we now have a kind of turnover, okay, such that because of the efficiency in the manpower and the provision of that acute ward, unlike before that, a lot of people would be on the queue. But now, we now have a short-stay ward where patients can stay, and that is number one reason. Number two reason is because of the manpower that we are able to enjoy during the year, because the federal government gave us a waiver to really recruit clinical staff. And apart from that, also in our system, we also have what we call social media handle, the Yaba voice, through which we educate the populace to destigmatize mental health generally. And as a result of this, people are now becoming more aware, because in those days, you see people locking anybody who has mental challenge at home. They may even put them take them to churches, take them to mosques or traditional homes. But now people are now more aware, and they are now coming out and now presenting in the hospital for treatment. But when you look at our own internal reports, it's just a reflection of our own performance and improvement in the infrastructure in the system. Because before you can talk about what happened outside, you need statistics, you need research before you can say, oh, this increase is due to what is happening outside.
All right. Doctor, you did mention the stigmatization, and I would like to go to that quickly before I go to another question. About the stigmatization, we know that that's like one of the major reasons why a lot of people prefer to suffer in silence, or relatives to people who have these mental health challenges prefer to just keep them, like you said, locked up in rooms. Yeah. And for a number of people, we see that this is because of how the society accepts or refuses to accept their condition. So what role would you say the society plays in, the level of stigmatization that these people experience that decides or determines whether they decide to find help or just cover up their secret and suffer in silence?
Yeah, when you talk about the issue of stigmatization, it's a major challenge in mental health. For example, the hospital, our own hospital is being referred to as Yaba left. And you know, anything that is on the left is assumed not to be good. And this is a misnomer, because when you come into the hospital, you see the serene environment, you will know that there is no need. So as a result of this stigmatization of those who are treating them, stigmatization of the hospital itself, we now decide to put in effort going into the community to talk and to create awareness. In addition to that, also, we also go on the social media. We have social media handles on various platforms, during which we educate the populace on the need to know that it's lack of knowledge that made them to really stigmatize mental illness. It's like other chronic medical conditions which are treatable. And I think it's this thing that is yielding result to us now, other than for people to be going to the wrong places. They now come, seek help from us. And also, because of our own efficiency also, we are able to attend to them quickly, shorten the time of stay, and then people go back to the environment.
Right. Now, Doctor, still on the issue of stigmatization, you did mention creating awareness. I would like to know, what can the society do to destigmatize the people that suffer these mental health conditions? What are the expectations from people in the society?
Yes, one thing we need to do in the society is to know that, number one, mental ill health is not it's not associated with the way they assume it is. Some believe it's as a result of maybe somebody has done something wrong in the past, or there is some of a kind of witchcraft or anything like that. No, some of these mental illness, for example, somebody who has gone into drug, can we say that one is as a result of those beliefs? No. So these kind of people, by the time you bring them, they are rehabilitated and they are good to go back into the society. These are some of the things we need to let the populace know, to create awareness. The more we create awareness, the more people are then brought for help, and the more we enjoy the society.
Okay. Now, speaking of the economic challenges as one of the causative factors of this mental health issue, and the fact that we're recording a high number of them, in what ways would you say that the economy in Nigeria as of 2023 is impacting the mental health conditions?
Thank you very much. When you look at the causation of mental illness, they are usually multifactorial in nature. For instance, there are some factors operating early in life in the individual and appear to have been responsible for the development of mental illness in the person who is suffering from it. For instance, somebody who has genetic predisposition to mental illness, we can't say that one is as a result of the society. It already runs in the family. And once it runs in the family, definitely one or two persons in the family will develop mental illness. That one has nothing to do with whatever is happening in the society. Somebody who is into drug, who has gone into drug as a result of maybe curiosity, or the need to belong to the circle of friends, okay, or just want to just taste it and look at it. We can't say this is as a result of this. Or somebody who has lost a loved one, okay, maybe a wife or the husband or any of the children. We can't say that's as a result of the social adversity in the country. We must get a clear picture of what causes mental illness and be able to address it. Not necessarily, when you talk about social adversity, it occurs globally, all over the world. If you look at what is happening in the Far East now, you see war going on there. By the time an individual continues to look at the television, see how people are being killed, before you know it, the person can develop mental illness. Because once he's seen those things persistently, can develop acute stress reaction or post-traumatic stress disorder with time. So these are some of the things we must know, that actually those causative factors in the life of an individual occur globally, and it's not more than one another in another country. There is poverty in the Western world, okay? There is inflation, there is unemployment. So we can't just limit it and say it as a result of what is happening in our country. No, it's a global phenomenon, and people are facing it, and there is need for us to look into it. But there are many factors that actually interact or come together to be able to cause mental illness in the individual, not limited to Nigeria alone.
Yeah, so I was going to go to that as well, because a lot of times most people tend to generalize this mental health issues. They believe that it's just one problem. Once someone is suffering a mental health challenge, they think that everything is the same thing. Is it true, or are there varying types of mental health conditions?
Thank you very much. And that is one thing we need to really know. There are many types of mental illness, ranging from minor cases like anxiety disorders, like minor depression, which may graduate to major depression if it's not properly taken care of. There is what we call psychosis, in which the individual will lose contact with reality. Also, there is what we call substance use disorder. And as a result of this, there are many types of it. And, it's common among the youth. And most of them go into it without even knowing when they really get into it. And to come back and to retrieve themselves now becomes so difficult. So there are many, many types of mental illness. There are some people, it's just phobia. There are some people who have phobia for flight. Is that one related to social adversity? No. There are some people, they have phobia for the crowd. They can't stay in the middle of where there are many people. There are people with a lot of phobia for insects and all sorts of things. So when you look at all these things, we should be equipped with adequate knowledge of what really causes mental illness. It's not just about what is happening socially. No, social issues occur globally from country to country. You can see what is happening in Russia, in Ukraine, in Israel, all over the world. So, pinpointing it into social issues, very good, but then we should know that this is a global phenomenon. It's not about Nigeria alone.
All right. Now, Doctor, talking about measures to tackle these mental health challenges that are being experienced in Nigeria, are there measures that are being taken by the Nigerian government or initiatives that hopefully will be taken in a very short period of time to address the mental health issues?
Thank you very much for that question. There are measures being taken by the current government. Okay. For example, if you look at the current situation of the earth, the new government has declared the state of earth in Nigeria as emergency, and there is need for them to do something, and that is what they are really doing now. We have a coordinating minister of health who is vast in knowledge in various ways of improving the health system, and is doing everything doing everything possible to make sure that by this time next year, you will see improvement in the health system of Nigeria. So also the Minister of State for Health, you will see is working thoroughly all the health facilities in Nigeria to make sure that all that needs to be fixed, all that needs to be put in place are put in place. For example, now in Nigeria now, virtually all government hospitals in Nigeria has intensive care units, including Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Yaba. We have molecular lab all over the nations, unlike before when we have 2 or 3 centers with such molecular lab. And not that alone. You can see now, recently now, they're giving waivers to start replacing and recruiting more health staff. And we just finished our own recruitment in our own hospital. So the government is doing everything possible to make sure that the health system actually improves. And what about the funding? And if you look at the budget of this year now, you will see a large chunk of the budget is devoted to health. Go to this, the internet, you will see the details. Now this government takes health and mental health so serious to the extent that, to the fact that everybody is now on his toes to make sure that the health system of Nigeria really improved. And by the grace of God, before this year, by next year, Before the end of next year, we'll start seeing the dividend of those efforts from the health system.
All right, Dr. Owoeye, now as the Chief Medical Director of the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital in Lagos, what would you say are some challenges, especially infrastructural, that the hospital faces in catering to these patients?
Okay. And one of the major challenges that we are facing, I will let you know, there are some patients abandoned in the hospital. They don't have relatives. They don't have people to care for them. Nobody visits them. So it's the federal government and some well-meaning Nigeria who comes to take care of these patients, taking care of their medication, taking care of their feeding, taking care of their clothing, and even when they die, the hospital tend to bury this group of people. And we have records of such in our system. So if you look at it, you will see that this is a major burden on the part of government. Okay? That is number one. Number two, when you also look at the hospital system, you can see, for example, our own hospital was established in 1907, which is about 160 years old. Most of the structure there now are being replaced by the federal government. All the old buildings now giving rise to the new ones, which is a good thing. So the government is actually working tirelessly to tackle some of these problems. The problem of brain drain that occurred recently, the government has also started giving waivers. They gave us waiver last year to recruit. We were able to recruit. They gave us waiver this year. We have just finished recruitment. So on a yearly basis, we've been recruiting essential clinical staff. And you know, all these staff, let us assume about 20% will go. So we'll still have about 80% of them. Next year again, we'll recruit. And that is what government has been doing to make sure that the manpower in the hospital are really not depleted the way the social media or the news really carry it.
All right, Dr. Olugbenga Owoeye, Chief Medical Director, Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Yaba. Thank you so much for joining us to share your thoughts on this.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on your program.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, and compliments once again. You're still watching VSA, and when we come back, we'll take a look at what an NGO is doing to make sure that child mortality is reduced to the barest minimum at all costs. Do stay with us.